Welcome to Sweet Life Sports, episode 2. I have the most incredible Tiffany Hubert with us today. Very excited about this episode. Tiffany is currently with the Harlem Globetrotters. You are the publicist. You work a lot of behind the scenes. You travel with the team and the brand, continuing to make it more modern and up to date. And just tell us about your day-to-day responsibilities and how you got into that.
Sure. So no day is ever the same. I'm sure a lot of people say that with a lot of their roles and responsibilities. I am fortunate enough to be able to work with the world famous Harlem Globetrotters. We are a 96-year-old company that really define ourselves as the originators of the game. Of course, breaking racial barriers and all of those great things. So part of what I do is advance work. So I work with our players before the show comes on. Or excuse me, before the show launches within a different market. We just also launched a TV show on NBC, shameless plug, Harlem Harlem Globetrotters Play It Forward on NBC Saturday mornings.
Love that.
Working to get the name out about that. A lot of people, even to this day, when somebody hears, "Oh, you were for the Harlem Globetrotters?" Oh, I remember back in the day. They're
Yeah.
definitely referencing the legends, the Curly Neal, the Meadowlark Lemon, but there are amazing world-class athletes that are on the team right now. They're breaking Guinness World Records. They are the best dunkers. They are, really, really, really incredible human beings. So it's really doing the work to getting the name out to say, yes, Harlem Globetrotters are still here. It is not our legends that we know and love, but these
Yeah.
are our future stars. These are guys who, women and guys and women actually, who are out there playing the game, traveling the world, doing it.
Nice, nice. That's dope. And how did you come about, working for the Harlem Globetrotters? Talk us through that process.
Sure. So, was where I met you. We were both working with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I am from Tampa and was fortunate enough to work with the organization for a number of years. Gathered my Super Bowl ring, and I loved my time. It's still the home team, but was looking
Hmm.
for a different opportunity to really kind of hone in on my niche, so to speak. And this opportunity became available to really be a part of the company that is relaunching something kind of
Hmm.
towards that first part of like reminding people that this is still a modern brand, having people rethink about what it is. We are lining up with new spaces. We've got the Lids collaboration. So, the conversation came to me about, hey, do you want to be a part of something like that? And I said, yes, why not?
Nice, nice. And, knowing you personally, how did you find the confidence to work for brands like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the tenure you have and develop, and now pivoting to a basketball brand like the Harlem Globetrotters? Like, what is it that was attractive to shift where you were to where you are now?
Sure. That's a great question. I think really it came from just the confidence to always be curious. I think for
Hmm.
me, one of the things that I always remember is I'm always a student. There's things are always changing. There's always going to be a way to grow your career, even when you think like, okay, I've made it to this point. There's always something else.
Yes.
And I knew that while I was in a great space within my organization, my previous organization, I knew that I could do more. I knew that I could offer more. I knew that I just had more to give. And being a part of something as iconic as the Harlem Globetrotters, and where they were going, I wanted to be a part of that. Just having the confidence to, and as my favorite quote is like, do it afraid, so to speak,
Yes.
leaving kind of the comfort zone of, you're in the home team, you've just won the Super Bowl. Why would you want to leave? It's like, well,
Yes.
it's the great opportunity, it's a great opportunity to do that. And as I said, it'll always be the home team.
Love that, love that. And one of my favorite questions I like to ask people is how has the pandemic shifted our industry? Because I know I still work in client-facing roles where I'm in the office more and I'm working the traditional hours, sun up to sundown. Talk about
Mhm.
your role and how the pandemic shifted everything you do.
Yes. So, I started the pandemic in football in NFL, and we were absolutely working from home. I was working from home and teaching from home and everything else.
Yeah.
Still had game day, so juggling all of that, going from that to where it's now I'm in a touring sports and entertainment team. I'm
Mhm.
still working from home, so it's interesting because now it's like I don't know that I would want to go back into that everyday office environment just because there's so much work that I can do from home. And right now I'm in the organization where I don't necessarily need to go into a stationary office. So our headquarters is actually based in Atlanta, Georgia, but many
Nice.
people don't live in Atlanta, Georgia because we're a touring team. So the team
Yeah.
is rarely ever home, so to speak, but we're always on our home court.
Nice, nice. And talk to us a little bit about how they book arenas to have games and exhibitions and events. Like, are you part of that process as well? And what goes into that?
Sure, I am not a part of that process. We've got a really great team of kind of booking directors who
Mhm.
have established that relationship year in and year out with arenas across the country and really across the world. So we have our domestic tour and we have a whole international tour. We're there everywhere from Paris to Australia to, you name it, Germany, they're there. So really working with great venues and booking directors who have established relationships and they kind of work on scheduling and all that fun behind the scenes scheduling stuff that I don't necessarily have anything to do with, but that is really what they do. They build relationships on a day-to-day basis. And the same thing overseas. We want to put on a great show, and then hopes that the company, the arena, would have us back from year to year.
Nice, nice. And you mentioned that you won a Super Bowl, and I know you've been a part of a lot of incredible experience, but what's the one or maybe several that stands out to you the most? And like, what does it mean to you to have such an accomplished resume and all these experiences?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, a couple of ones that stand out. It's interesting. I was having this conversation the other day with somebody. Oh, it was another one of my colleagues was talking just about like Super Bowl week and how that
Yeah,
was to work. And I was like, I will say it was probably the best and worst week ever.
I bet.
It's certainly a memorable because, at the time I was working with the Buccaneers and
Mhm.
we were in the Super Bowl in our hometown. So for me, that meant you're working double, triple time because we've got to get our stuff out there. We got to make sure people know this is our home team. We are on our home turf. So it just amplified all of that. But then in the end of the day, you're also organizing the experience, but you're also part of the experience. So it was like exhausted by the next week, but it was good because I got a chance to share, of course, with friends and family.
Nice, nice. And I'm sure it was even double time for you because you're from the area. So I'm sure
Mhm.
you had relatives come out of the woodworks. Yo, let me get a ticket. That's always the best part of working in this industry.
Mhm.
And I know that your son, he's playing sports now and you're working from home. Like, how do you balance all of the responsibilities that you have?
A tribe, I always say. I would not be able to do it, especially working in sports without having family. As you know, we don't have those standard hours and, certainly working every single game day, working, every single member experience. Now
Mhm.
that I'm with another organization, being able to travel here and there, I rely heavily on my tribe, my family to support me and to just kind of be there for my son when I'm not in the area.
Nice, nice, nice. And I know you a little personal, but I know that your son, he's into sports. He's a great baseball player, basketball, and he also plays football.
Yes.
And in recent news right now, DeMar Hamlin, he had the severe injury on Monday Night Football. They postponed the game, and it's been all over the networks. And
Yes.
now that you are a mom and your son's getting older, like how do you feel about him playing contact football and getting a little older and starting to play tackle football?
That is a yeah, I mean it's definitely crossed my mind literally when it happened because I would say like he has football, basketball and baseball, but like and
Mhm.
he's a 9-year-old child, so it's like football, football, football. What do you want to be when you grow up? Football. Okay, so
Yeah.
but I will definitely say I have, and even before, the horrible, thing that happened on the field, I'm trying to talk him talk to him about other things that he can do within the sport
Yeah.
that he loves, and it was even like we were going to go travel. Sometime he was going to have to miss a football game. And he was like, oh, I don't know, the coach. And I was like, well, wait a minute. You have to have a balance. Like, it's okay. So I'm just trying to get him to like, not necessarily love the sport less, but like really think about balancing it. Because what happens if, you put all your eggs in this basket and something
Hmm.
happens with your health and you can't play? Um, so absolutely thinking about that and thinking about like pushing him towards basketball, of course, because that's what I do now and it makes more sense.
Well, you're such an incredible resource. You work behind the scenes and you've won a Super Bowl ring and you have all this great experience. So he's definitely learning from a pro. And I think that's an awesome dynamic that he gets to share and see it unfold behind the scenes. That's part of the reason why I'm in this industry. So I'm very happy for you in that regard. Talk to us about getting into the industry, what you majored in, and how you actually got your start.
Sure. So when I was in college, I majored in communications and broadcasting and journalism with kind of
Mhm.
like a small minor in women's studies. I knew that I wanted to kind of, work within kind of women's sports. And then when I was in college, I worked with our athletic media relations. So
Mhm.
I covered really all sports, kind of press scores, all those fun things, kind of dabbled into marketing as well, with some internships with some companies while in college. So from there, I was like, all right, I know I wanted to do something still within kind of that media world.
Mhm.
But even further back, what really kind of interested me in like the world of like business behind sports was when I was in high school. I worked with actually Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a high school program called the
Nice.
Student Advisory Board. And with that, it was a volunteer student organization where you did community hours with the organization, as well as they would take you monthly into their office to meet different people within the company. So that
Nice.
really exposed me to all the different facets of, behind the scenes. If I'm not on the field, what can I do? And so
Mhm.
that was probably my first kind of like spark of curiosity. And
Yeah.
then from there, even during that time, I knew I wanted to do something in broadcasting, whether it be on camera or off camera. And so just kind of continued to bob and weave. And between there, my first kind of break after college, it's interesting. I always try to tell this story more often now of I was, how we take those jobs, like it's your foot in the door, just,
Yep.
trying to get a chance to learn. And I was like, all right. So I worked within kind of our event staff,
Mhm.
within the organization. And it was, you work events, you work game day. And like one of the jobs was like, game day, you are, escorting members or, suite members to their things. Like, all right, great. Well, Tiffany, we're going to have you escort them up and down the elevator. Okay, sure.
It's a
So
very
here I
important
am.
role.
Yes, it's a very important role. They get at the bottom of the elevator or elevator. All right, let me help you up. But what you don't realize when you're going up and down an elevator from like pre-kick into first quarter, you get
Yeah.
a little dizzy and nauseous. So I was like, woo, all right, that's my first, that's my claim to fame. Listen, I
Yeah.
would start it from the bottom
And
and
now
work my
you're
way
here.
up the elevator.
I love that.
So yeah, so that was kind of my first thing. But then after that, I just made myself more available. It was an experience that I got a chance to meet a lot of people within the organization. And when those opportunities came available of who's available to do this and do that. Hey, I still want to learn. Absolutely, I'm available. So I just would always encourage people to raise your hand if you want to get to know somebody or a different part of a business, certainly raise your hand when those opportunities become available.
And I love that you said that because sometimes we get in these spaces where we're the only ones that look like us. And
Mhm,
it's not as easy to volunteer or to show up as your authentic self and be present all the time or be confident all the time.
mhm,
Who did you rely on, or where did you get your confidence in this corporate American industry to stand up and to show up and to volunteer and to showcase your skill set? Where did that
mhm.
come from?
I feel, back in the day, I don't really know. I would say I don't know. In the beginning, I mean, right after college, I think there's like this, not necessarily naivety, but like,
Yeah.
it's like, let's do it. Let's do
Yep.
this thing. But I definitely feel like I gained more confidence along the way as I gained more experience. I can, walk it like I talk it, so to speak, and I
Yeah.
can show people, right? I recommend this, or this is my professional, recommendation and
Mhm.
XYZ. And I've found that oftentimes, uh, Black women, Black men, we have to prove ourselves a little bit more, right? We've got to
Mhm.
have our 5-sided work reports and, and cite our sources on why we think we need to do something. But for me, that helped me just be on my P's and Q's a lot more because, hey, if I'm putting together a presentation, if I'm recommending something, if I'm pitching something, I know exactly why, I know exactly where, I've got the numbers. So it's certainly elevated me even through
Mhm.
kind of the roadmap that sometimes we have to take.
Nice. And I know that we work together, but talk to us about how useful or impactful it is to have a sales and service background, being able to put together these projects, being able to have these presentations, and being able to own the room. Talk
Mhm.
to us about how that experience helped you for the current role you're in.
Absolutely. Yes. So I mean, it's something that a colleague and I always talk about because we both come from the service background
Mhm.
and we're not afraid of no. We've had those tough, tough conversations. We've had to talk to those members after a losing season. We've had to talk to those members when their beer was hot in 90-degree weather in Florida, when they
Yep.
got rained on, when their parking pass didn't down, you know what I'm saying? We've just had
Yeah.
to talk people through their experience and still sell them a membership at the end of it.
Exactly.
Um, and so I think that absolutely prepares you to pitch. We're pitching a team no matter what's on the field. And that's a lot of
Mhm.
the times what we sell is the experience outside of the game. And that's what you're able to do when you're talking to anybody within business, right? You have to really, really be a great storyteller and paint the picture for them and, remind them of the memories that they're going to make and XYZ. So it allows me to have really tough conversations. I'm not afraid to be like, well, no, I don't really, how those meetings were like nobody
Yes.
saying something, but everybody should be saying something. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, so this is not gonna work. Or, it just propels you to be more confident in what you're saying and really understanding like sometimes there's tough conversations. Sometimes you have to call those people and just be like, I'm sorry, or this is what's going on, or just kind of speak the truth about what the current conditions are. So
Indeed, indeed. And you said a lot there in terms of like knowing when to speak up and having the confidence to do so. Talk to us about how do you continue to reinvent yourself now that we're 10 plus years in the industry and you're still finding ways to improve and to grow and to shift your focus, and we're into a new year now. So like, what is like your theme or any type of mantras that you have as we attack 2023?
Well, I think I said a little bit before. One of my favorite quotes is "Do It Afraid" by Joyce
Mhm.
Myers. And then another quote that always comes to my mind, it's from my favorite show, Grey's Anatomy. And it was a doctor on there that it was a scene going on, and one doctor was wronged, and the other, it was one of a perfect Grey's Anatomy Shonda Rhimes scene.
Yeah.
But the doctor basically said, if somebody tries to take your story, you take it back and you tell it louder. And I think for me, coming out of the pandemic, coming out of the shutdown, going into these work, remote type of fluid environments, for
Mhm.
me, I feel like it was a bonus, or not a bonus. I've grown so much from that.
Yeah.
Grown confidence, grown in like abilities, creativity, just been able to kind of expand my repertoire and really like create the space and balance that I need to, because I don't have sometimes the nuances that happen in an office space. But I think for me, the theme would be, telling my story and always being a forever student. I live by that. There's so much that you can learn from and, be able to meet new people. And if it's something you want to do, I feel like there's enough on the internet, there's enough contacts just in the world that you could probably have that conversation or be a couple of degrees from having a conversation
Mhm.
with somebody who's doing exactly what you want to do. So I would say just, continue to step out and go for it.
100%. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable and get outside your comfort zone. So
Mm.
I definitely would recommend that as well. And being a Black woman in this industry, like, how would you talk to the people who are trying to break into the industry? What advice would you share? What websites you think they should do? And with all this content creation and access to the internet, like, what would you recommend for the next sports behind the scenes superstar?
Yes. So again, just exactly that. I mean, I think going online and trying to figure out I feel like there's a lot of different networking groups, seeing which one is a great fit for you, because I feel like
Mhm.
especially in college and even coming out of college, I know for me, like, you can get lost in like the networking, and especially if you're going to like live event networking, you can get
Yeah.
lost in that because a lot of times it's an extended happy hour, and then you're not really doing what you need to do, and like the goal is not there. So I would say make sure you're being a little bit more intentional with your networking. Follow up as well when you meet people. I mean, I feel like so many times, like, okay, great to meet you, but you just never know. Build that network, follow up with them, maybe set yourself a reminder if it's something in the seasonal time. Hey, just wanted to follow up with you.
Mhm.
Happy New Year, or just want to see how you're doing. I saw this, about your company. Congratulations. Things like that. I
Yep.
think kind of going back to that service background, those relationships and touch points really come in hand. So that would be my recommendation, especially if someone's looking to kind of break into the industry, is see who's already doing it and how can you make a touch point with them.
Nice, nice. And outside of what you do for work, you also have sisters in sports and you work on various projects with being a publicist. Like, how do you manage it all? And where do you find the time to, okay, this is for my career, this is for my lifestyle, but this is for my own thing. So how do you juggle all these things and get it all done and, produce quality work?
Calendars. Calendar. I actually just onboarded an assistant. Um,
Nice.
so, just being able to scale, I think, recognizing that you're in a blessed point to scale your business and hire people who can help you keep everything organized, so that you are able to produce quality work is great. Um,
Mhm.
and then being able to also say no, if you just don't have the capacity to bring on somebody else, I think that's okay to say, because to your point, you want to make sure that you're producing quality work. And yes, I live by a calendar and I write everything down and I set those reminders for myself. But yes, being able to bring on help is a great way, especially if you're looking to scale.
Nice, nice. And on a personal level, who is Tiffany outside of the arena, outside of the mom lane? Who is Tiffany Hubert going into 2023? What do you do for fun? What are your interests? What are your hobbies?
So, can I say wine on this podcast?
Yes, you can say wine.
Wine. I'm a aspirational foodie, so my
Okay.
friends and I like to get together and, do like food events together, whether it's being like in our homes or we're going somewhere. More wine tastings, things of that nature. Just really chill. I mean, I live in Florida, so we've always got water. So, I love being outdoors and near the water.
Love that, love that. And last but not least, what goals do you have as we attack this new year? You just celebrated a birthday. What goals do you have for yourself?
Ooh, what were my goals? I feel like I wrote them down somewhere. I don't know.
Sounds like it,
Um,
though.
I feel like, and I think we probably even talked about this offline, of like, I feel like for some reason there's so much more pressure this year than it has been in years. It's like when you're coming out of college and it's like, what are you gonna do with your rest of your life? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. I think
Yeah.
I'm in like in a transition in terms of like being able to scale my business. I just want to
Mhm.
really be organized, still produce quality work, still, being very, very intentional. So I think it's just the goal is to successfully scale. If
Okay.
that doesn't sound too like
No,
I
that's
don't know,
perfect. That's
itchy
perfect. I
kitschy,
love
but
that.
I think that's one of the goals. And yeah, just more balance, more
Okay.
more balance. But I think that'll come with all the different tools.
Nice, nice. I really like that because obviously with resolutions and vision boards, everyone's trying to figure it out what they want to do. So definitely scale your business to continue to produce quality work is a good one. And what else do I have? Man, I
Well,
think
what I'm gonna have to ask you, what is your goal? What's 2023 looking like for you?
2023 for me will be my year of get it done and execute. I've been putting a lot of projects to the side. I don't know if it was just fear or lack of confidence, but for me, it's get it done. I changed ages at the end of the year, started a new year. I'm a
Yes, you did.
father, a husband. So it's time to
Mhm.
really start to do the things that I really want to do and become the person I know that I can become. So just making it a fulfilled life. No longer wondering the coulda, woulda, shouldas. Execute, get it done. That's my goal all 2023.
I love
Starting
it.
with starting with the podcast, just something that I should have done years ago. I've been
Mhm.
talking about it. I've been writing down ideas. I had the name, and
Mhm.
we spoke about the pandemic. Like all these ideas sparked during the pandemic when I had more free time to be at home with the kids. I was able to be more creative and really
Mhm.
dive into my interests.
Mhm.
It went from this is what I gotta do to now this is what I get to do. So
Right.
I like to believe I've created a strong network for myself where I have a very deep and vast, diverse group of people who work in this
Mhm.
industry, and not too many people are talking about it.
Right.
I love the experience that you have. I've learned a lot from you. I think you're an incredible colleague. You've taught me a lot
You are
personally
too.
and professionally. And I was excited to be able to sit down and have this conversation with you. And I think you're incredible. I love your social media updates. I love you personally. I think you just have a really dope life. And
Thank
again,
you,
you're just someone
Aubrey.
that I admire. You befriended me just off of us working together.
You befriended me, and I thank you.
Yeah. And, through that friendship, we've learned we had so much in common. Our birthdays are a day apart.
Literally, literally.
So yeah, like I
I'm
love
taller than you, which I was always give you hard time.
like I love watching you grow over the years, and yeah, it's just been incredible. So I'm extremely proud of you. Again, thank you for taking the time to be on the Sweet Life Sports with Aubrey Greer. It's been an incredible journey, and I can't wait to see what 2023 brings for you.
Yes, same, and I have got to stop and give you flowers as well, Aubrey. I am incredibly, incredibly proud of everything that you've done, everything that you've accomplished, all of the hurdles. I hope that it felt like it's worth it for you. You've got a beautiful family. Just to see you just stepping into more of who you are in your career and personal, it's just been great. Whenever I see updates, I'm like, yes, yes, get it. So I am one of your ultimate cheerleaders, of course, and I am just super, super proud of just watching your growth and just yeah, it's been phenomenal to see.
Thank you. And you said it yourself, it takes a village, right? You have
Mhm.
to have people depositing the positivity, the encouragement, the late
Mhm.
night prayers, like all those
Yes.
things help you
Mhm.
become who you're becoming in the
Yes.
process when you're not confident, in the process when you don't feel you're good enough, or you look the
Mhm.
part, or you have enough experience, or you don't
Mhm.
think you're an expert. So it takes people behind the scenes, like the Tiffany's, like my wife, like my family,
Mhm.
like my friends, that
Mhm.
it takes a village. Like I can't thank you all enough. And likewise, like
Absolutely.
it's something that you don't think you deserve at times, but then slowly but surely you realize I could do this. And the more you
Absolutely.
do it, you gain confidence. And again, I
Mhm.
think you're a rock star, and this is just going to be an incredible season for you and step into your destiny.
Preach.
But yeah, like enjoy your wine, enjoy the rest of your
Yes.
night. Again, I can't thank you enough for taking time with us,
Mhm.
and enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, you too. Thank you, Aubrey.
All right, Tiff, take
All
care.
right, bye.
Peace.